Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome not only to you as the audience, but also to our special guest today, Zainab Al-Suwaid. Mrs. Al-Suwaid was born and raised in Iraq. Yesterday in her master class at VU University, she talked about what it meant to grow up in a country which is ruled by a dictator. I think it was very impressive for the students. In 1991, after taking part in the failed uprising against Saddam Hussein, she fled to the United States, where she now lives. She worked as a lecturer at Yale University, and after 9/11, she decided to change her life, and she became the founder of the American Islamic Congress. Under her direction, the AIC has founded branches in 14 different countries and has trained hundreds of young Middle Eastern activists in the method of non-violent protest and social media mobilization. She is an outspoken advocate to women's equality, civil rights, and interfaith understanding. She is a genuine builder of bridges between people from different cultural and religious backgrounds, whose work has been awarded several international prizes. In 2010, she was featured in the Econ series, Visionary Thinkers About the Future, which was awarded the Erasmus Euro Media Grand Award. I saw Zainab Al-Suwaid in this Econ series, which Ida Overdijk and Wilbury Jacobs made. And I remember very clearly how impressed I was by what you said, Zainab, about your sense of belonging, to feel at home in the country where you live. You said, we cannot choose where we come from, in what kind of situation we are born, or in which country, with which faith, ethnic background, or family. This is not in our power. But we can change our life, we can choose the best for our children. We can take our fate in our own hands. It's important to realize that. This is what we share as human beings, in spite of all differences in race, ethnicity, and religion. What I saw was not just a kind of pep talk. It was very clear to me that there stood a woman who authentically embodied in her life what she was telling the viewer. Experienced reflections. Someone who combines her belief with ethical consequences in daily life. We need people who are willing to think and to act, to combine theory and praxis, and therefore we, and when I say we, I mean the Nieuwe Liefde and the Dominican Study Center as the initiators of the Edward Schillebeek's Chair for Theology and Society at the VU University. We invited Zainab Al-Suwaid to come to Amsterdam and share her experiences and knowledge with us. And as the holder of this chair, I'm very honored to have you in our midst. After your lecture, Naima Azouk, former member of the Dutch Parliament, have an interview with Zainab and lead the discussion with the audience. So now, please, Zainab, the floor is yours.
Good evening, and thank you very much for your warm welcome, and Mirwanda for the opportunity to be here and meet very interesting people and talk about many interesting subjects. I don't remember when was the last time, I travel a lot, but and I give talks and speeches, workshops and trainings. And this trip, it's been only 2 days. I arrived yesterday morning, but it's been so far, it's very thrilling at the same time. It's very special in terms of amount of the information that I have learned and the people that I have met and the warm welcome that I have received. So I'm honored to be here with you this evening. Since yesterday until today, we talked a lot. I spoke about, my work, my experience, my background. We spoke about the Arab Spring and women involvement in the Arab Spring, and met with several people from the media. And always the question comes in about us and them. Who are us? Who are them? And people ask questions that, we are two different, we have two different beliefs, or maybe 3 different beliefs, or 4, or maybe more. And we come from different religious views and backgrounds. How could we live together? How could we coexist? Probably for many people who lived in a society that is not being exposed to people of other faith, other cultures, for them, the others do not exist. And they do not trouble themselves with even the idea of thinking about people of other faith or appreciating that. So if we are all the same, we carry the same idea, we carry same thinking, we carry same belief, can you imagine how boring that would be? I grew up in a religious household. The grandfather, who's a religious leader, but in an open and diverse society. The open, diverse society was not diverse in terms of nationality, because we were all Iraqis. But the diversity came with a belief. Within the Muslims who live in the neighborhood, we have Sunni and Shiites. With the Christian who lives in the neighborhood, we have the Catholic, the Orthodox, and the Protestants. With the Mandais, that they live in the same neighborhood and they go to the same school, they have also some differences. And then you go to the ethnic group, who are the Kurds and the Arabs, and we have Armenians. And that was always an eye-opener to see, how we celebrated Eid, which is the end of Ramadan celebration. At the same time, we celebrated Christmas, and it was fun. And we celebrated, the big day for the Mandais. And, for us as kids, always, celebration that were brought us together. The fun part, the food, the activities. Probably for our parents was different, was the social connection. And for us in the school was, to take a day off? Why not? Let's do it. But with that diverse, you start to appreciate the different beliefs. So I come, I always, the granddaughter of the religious leader. But that did not stop me from interacting with the other girls in the classroom and the boys there. We played, we joked, we discussed issues, we argued, we fought, we bullied each other. We did all of these things just like all of us should be. That was not a question until I left left Iraq and went to the United States. I haven't felt the difference there. People look at me and they are curious about me, probably because of the headscarf, probably because of other things. But always was the question start with, aren't you hot? wearing a headscarf. It's very hot in there, and you know, people sometimes are curious about you, what you wear, or they are with you in a school, or you know, they feel sorry for you. Sometimes you look at, you know, some people telling you, well, you know, you're wearing these things, aren't you? You know, I know you're forced to do it. No, I'm not forced to do it. I'm not forced to do that. And yeah, some women might be forced to do it in certain countries. Some women might be forced by their families, by their tradition, so on and so forth. But for me, it was a choice. And I had the choice of putting it or taking it off. But that brought me to another era when 9/11 happened. And the issue of interfaith, interethnic understanding and dialogue was not a big issue in the US back then. On a small scale, people talk about it. Within what I saw in the Muslim community, they were closed. They don't talk that much to people of other faith. And people of other faith probably has some curiosity about the Muslims who are living next door or the mosque that's been built in the neighborhood. But maybe they asked, maybe they didn't, took a small initiative to learn about each other, but that was it. I felt 9/11 broke that barrier. The curiosity about Islam and Muslims, the people who hijacked the plane and they destroyed the trade centers and did all of these things, the radicals, the terrorists, the images on TV and the media. Some people start critical thinking. Are these the people that we know? Are they that bad? Are they living in the same neighborhood or not? Do we know them really well? Are they really terrorists or not? So many questions, a lot of confusions. At the same time, from the Muslim side, they've been put on the guard. We're not as bad as you think. Stop doing this to us. We are not, you know, stop profiling us. Stop discriminate us. But the dialogue was rare. A story I remember the day after 9/11, I was the only Muslim who works in an office. And when I came to the office that day, I found all my female colleagues wearing a headscarf in solidarity with me. That touched me so deep inside. So when I go back to the Middle East and the Muslim world and they ask me, how do you live in the West and you are covered? Aren't you being discriminated against? Aren't you being this or that? I give them this story. Many of them break in tears. And it was a must and a necessity that we open up, not our minds only, but our hearts, to learn about each other and understand each other. We talk about the division that happened. We talk about, yeah, we are human beings. But why our personal beliefs, especially our religious beliefs, has to divide us? Why don't we use it as a tool to unite us? Because there are bigger issues than just what I believe in as a religious point of view and what you believe in. There are a lot of issues and work need to happen around the world to take us from the level we are in to the next level. The debate of us and them, I've heard, in the US probably work on different scale than here in Europe, because, you know, the US has been built on multi-ethnic, multi-religion, very diverse. Everyone comes from a different background, except for the Native Americans are the real Americans there. But everyone comes from different place. Sometimes When we opened that discussion, we held a lot of interfaith dialogue and interviews. And in 2002, we have published a manual on how to hold an interfaith event. Because for so many people, these interfaith events, how do you start it? How do you talk about? What are the subjects? What are the issues? And I have seen so many throughout the years. And all of these interfaith dialogue starts with, oh, we like this, oh, our children, oh, well, yeah, of course, you're human beings. Your children grow up the same. You teach them good values and implement in them the good manners. Oh, we like hummus, and you like hummus too? You know? How about we go to deeper than this? And always when they want to hold an interfaith event, it has to be a religious leader. No, I don't need an imam or a religious leader. I need people. People, their work is not only religion or teaching religion. I need the people who are believing in certain faith and religion that I can talk to. And be able to converse with them on a daily issues. And how can we work together, and how could we implement something together for our own society? Because what unites us, we are living under one sky, in one country, in one neighborhood. If I go home and pray, if I go to the mosque and pray, and you go to the church and pray, or the synagogue, that doesn't mean we are, we carry on our daily life at the same thing. We get up in the morning, we have breakfast, we go to work, we come back home, and we have our social, we have family, we have network. We are divided based on how religious we are, whether conservative or liberal, but we are also divided on how political we are, whether we are, politically involved or not. We are within one religion, divided on a sectarian base, on how to practice, so even in one household, even my two children are not the same. Do we have to kill each other because of these differences? And why do we make it our own mission? Is that because I am different than you are in my belief, in my religious belief, then I assume you are the enemy. And sometimes I give the benefit of the doubt because of what I see on TV, because all of this violence and terrorist act and discrimination and bad treatment of women and bad treatment of people of other faith, and the list is too long. But if I do not talk about it and address it, would I reach a solution or not? Yesterday, when I was giving my talk at the university, one of the young students asked, what if the other do not want to talk? And they consider me, infidel, or they consider me outside, and they don't want to talk to me because of my religious belief. The person who thinks that you are infidel thinks I am infidel too, because I don't believe in what they believe in. The infidelity does not come only in the matter of you are a Christian, I'm a Muslim, you're a Jewish, I'm a Muslim, you are this, No, it comes also within the Muslim understanding itself. So if these radical, I do not believe what they believe in, I am an infidel too. So we all are in one club. Have you thought about that? We are all in one party, in one category, because we don't believe in violence. We do not believe in destruction and killing of other people. We don't believe that people of other faith are our enemies. We don't believe in bad treatment of people, whether men or women. all humankind. We don't believe in the extreme radical views that they want to put and impose. I don't believe in it. I condemn it. And every time it happened, we have to work all together to stop these kind of acts. I don't want only a Christian or a Jewish or a Buddhist or a Hindu to stop and denounce terrorist acts or extreme act. Muslims should be the first, if being conducted by Muslims or any other. Doesn't matter. We have to unite ourselves in that. The dialogue that we start sometimes is painful. Most of the time starts painful because we press on issues that's fundamentally very important to us. Oh, you're accusing me of this. Yeah, but I'm accusing you of discriminating me. Yeah, but I'm accusing you of killing innocent people in the name of your religion and makes it okay. It's very painful. Very painful for both sides. But we have to open our minds and our souls to accept and deal with these difficult questions, just like going to therapy. You know, sometimes these important issues are very difficult for us to let out. It happened in many different places. And sometimes when we start talking about this issue of interfaith understanding, all of these emotions comes and people are crying and emotionally involved and not being happy. But at the same time, you come out to a solution. That it is possible to talk. And all of that fear that we find between here and there does not disappear immediately, no. It's still very cautious, but there is something that we are doing together. And what I advise is not always to sit and talk about it, just a matter of talking. And bye, and we go, oh, we talked to a Muslim today, or we talked to a Christian today, or talked to this or that. No. Make sure and a point of doing something together. A project for your own community. You are living in one country. The well-being of your country and community, and your belonging to that soil, and you're carrying the nationality, it's for all of you. Doesn't matter what background you are from. Doesn't matter which God you worship, which religious book you read. This is something, a religious belief, and you're belonging to your land, to the country that you are living in, is something else. So, I was born Muslim. I didn't have a choice. My family is like, my family are Muslims. I grow up like that. I have a choice to change if I want to. But there are things also that, I was born in Iraq. And I had to leave Iraq. And I went to America. I had a question, where am I? Do I belong to Iraq or I belong to America? Now, I am an American. I'm a proud citizen of America. Do I forget about my history, where I was born and my family? No, I don't. And I try to make the best of the two worlds. Where I was growing up, the values and the things that I have learned, and where am I now? And also, it's my country, it's dear to me. That's why I took the initiative after 9/11 to start the American Islamic Congress. Because I felt this attack is not only, it's on America. I am an American, This is a threat that comes to America, was threatening me as a citizen, my children, my neighbors, my colleagues, my fellow American citizen. So I wanted to make that change from within. I hear sometimes, when I go to the mosque, I hear the imam saying things or negative things about people of other faith. Do I have to be quiet? No, I'm not quiet. I go and tell him. And if he didn't stop, I report him. What's wrong is wrong. It's not accepted in our society. And we cannot tolerate hatred because it leads to hate crimes, to destruction of society. And we have enough crimes around us in the world to add one more to it. Or to hear a religious leader or icon preaching hate. And I hear it so often. Oh, we got together, we had a meal and enjoyed it and everyone left. But it's still what's in our ideas and thoughts is still there. That's why I said when we want to go through the interfaith dialogue and interfaith understanding, let's make it tangible. Make it visible. Let people see it. It's not a matter of talking and eating a meal together. No. It's much more than that. It's how to benefit our community, our country, and our society. What unites us is we are human beings. We belong to the same country. Maybe we're different ethnicity, which is okay. And that takes me back to the first point when I was talking about my childhood, that we're all Iraqis, but we have different beliefs and different religions and different ethnicity. Nothing wrong with that. We're all proud of us, of ourselves, and where we come from. And if there are people who want to divide us as people of being them and us based on religious views or based on political views or based on any other views, social, economic differences, then I'm the one who's going to start in making these things disappear and stop, because I have better vision for our world, how to coexist. Some people might say, oh, this is not real. You're imagining, this is illusion, this is, But we can make it work out. I remember a story, and I will end with that. When I went to America for the first time, I was in an English class in college, and I had a classmate who was Israeli. I've never met a Jewish person in my life. I grew up in a city that used to have Jews, but when I was born and raised, we still have the Jewish neighborhood, but never seen a Jewish person. So the professor at the class told us that we both should work together in one project. Now, I come from Iraq. And all what I heard, all bad things about the Jews and TV, from the teachers, from this, from that. And he came from Israel, and he's in the middle of the conflict. It was not easy in the beginning. But I'm like, he looked at me, I looked at him. And I'm like, we have to work on our final project together. We talked, we argued, we fought, and then we became friends. We have something together that we have to finish. But most importantly, more important than this, it was we discovered each other, that we are both human beings. Beyond our political agenda, beyond our religious beliefs, beyond our social status, we start talking as friends. Would that be possible here, in this place? Yes. But I have to put a goal for myself, my people, my community. And I have to put it in front of me before I be selfish and think only about me and what I have gained. So I'll stop here and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab, for such a clear speech, and an inspirational speech as well.
Thank you.
Because I have to say, the quote that Manuela quoted about how you can't choose where you were born, what ethnic background you have, what sex you have, what gender you have, what religious background you have, but you can choose your path in life. I think that is something that is inspirational to anybody, and to wherever you come from. But I have to say, maybe especially inspirational to women and men of Muslim background, because I don't know whether you would recognize that, but as a Muslim myself, I was brought up with sabr.
That's right. Patience.
Sacrifice yourself, be patient. Things will develop in time, and don't rock the boat too much. So to have this quotation as a kind of the core value in your life is very special, especially for somebody from a very deeply religious family within Iraq. So a warm applause again for Zainab Al-Zawaj, please. Manuela has already introduced myself. I'm Naima Azour. I'm a former member of Parliament of Green Left, and nowadays I'm working as a program maker and documentary maker and as a moderator. And I'm very happy to be able to host this day, especially this afternoon session, which was quite interesting, as well as this evening. We will first start with an interview in which I will be asking the questions. And then after half an hour or so, I will come to you and you will be free to put forward any questions or remarks you would like to put forward. Please stand up. I will come to you with the microphone, but please stand up and introduce yourself before just your name, but if you want to say more, it can be possible. But so that we know who you are, and that we create more of a real interaction instead of just people who islands in the stream, in a sense, to quote a famous song. Let me start with the first question. Reading your biography or your biographical story, and especially the reaction you had to 9/11, as you said yourself, many people, Muslims and non-Muslims, were horrified by 9/11. That's right. And were horrified by the images that I think anybody still has on the cornea of their eyes and in their brain and heart, and wanted to do something lasting, but in the end, few did. That's right. So what made you get up and create something that was so much bigger than yourself in the ISC?
First, I'm honored to have that interview with you. And this is our second panel today, and it's becoming better and better every time I I get to talk to you and know you more. The inspiration was there all the time, even before 9/11. I was thinking about it. I was monitoring and seeing what's going on with many different organizations, Muslim organizations in the U.S., and always playing the victim card. We're being discriminated against. Thank you. We've been treated badly, even though they have been treated in the best way possible, because there are laws and rights in the country, in the United States, that they enjoy more than they enjoy in the Muslim countries that they come from itself. I was astonished by that. And I'm like, why do you complain? You come from countries that you cannot open your mouth and say a word. You come from a country that has been deprived from your rights. You come from a country that you have no right sometimes to practice your religion as a Muslim inside a Muslim country. Or it's a matter of we just like to complain. Yes, there are some issues and violences on individual basis, and you see it in the street, but it's not what the country stands for, not the rules, not the rights, not the constitution. I was puzzled by that. And I thought, I'm going to start an organization, and I wanted to be proactive. I don't like the victim mentality. If I have a problem, I address it. And I want to be there in a front line. When I talked to my close friends, my husband at that time, and he's like, you want to be killed? I'm like, why do you say that? He said, well, you're going to be a target for people who do not like what you're saying or what you're doing. And I said, well, I'm going to die one day, whether killed or not, or maybe in a car accident or something. So I do it for a good cause. I was almost near death when I got shot in Iraq in 1991, and I was one of the people who participated in the uprising against Saddam Hussein. But there is a good cause that I need to be. So 9/11 came after, like 3 months after that conversation. And that pushed me more to be on the other side, and I want to do something proactive. I don't want to sit and complain and whine. I want to see result and tangible result. So I started the American Islamic Congress with a couple of other friends and colleagues from Yale University who were a graduate student, 2 guys. Both of them, after a month, they said, we cannot take the burden. No. It's too much work.
You had no money, you had no organization, nothing. You didn't have anything, huh?
I've never been worked on an organization. I was teaching, and I was,
You had 2 children,
2 children, and busy. And I said, are you sure, guys, you don't want to do that? They said, that's it. It's for us. We're supporting you by heart, but we cannot do more. I said, okay, then it's my task, and I have to do it. So I started being the one women show, and by answering the phone, raising money, giving talks and speeches. At the same time, I was, being interviewed on media and TV, and I said, this is my mission, and I have to fulfill it. It was not easy, and a lot of people heard they wanted to hear a voice of reasoning. And I guess for them, it was us. So one day I was giving an interview, radio interview for public TV, and a lady called me afterwards, and she said, I heard your interview, and I want to come and meet you. I live in a city 2 hours away from where I lived. And I said, okay. She came to where I live. We had lunch together, and she said, look, I'm a woman, not Muslim. I lost my son in the attack of 9/11. He was in one of the planes. He left 3 children. The oldest one is 6 years old. I don't want to think all Muslims are bad, and I don't want to hate anyone, and I want to make a good cause of my son's death. This woman, very brave woman, with all what I have seen in my life, she put another support in my back and push, and made me more determined that I don't want to stop the work that I am doing.
She was the wind beneath your wings.
That's right. And she said, I want to help you. What do you need to establish and make more success of your work. So she started volunteering by telling people about us and the work we do, and talks and speeches and small things, stationaries, and after a year she said, I fulfill what I have needed inside. And now you're on your own. Mm-hmm. I always support you. I'll think of you. You made my whole experience have changed. And now I'm going to go on with my life. Mm-hmm. And you continue with your life, and we'll check with each other every now and then. So I took the responsibility and I started. And then shortly after, Iraq became a hot topic.
Yeah.
So the need was not only in the US, but the need is overseas as well. Mm-hmm. And since I am a Muslim living in the West, enjoying all rights, democracy, prosperous life, I wanted to share that with other people and teach them about how important it is to enjoy these rights and to work on democratic system, to be able to project your voice, not be ashamed of who you are, and to denounce and condemn violence in all different kinds, shapes, or forms.
How did because there were, and there still are, mm-hmm. other organizations that speak for the Muslim community in America,
that's right.
for Muslim citizens. How did they react to you and to your start?
Especially I'm a woman.
Exactly, especially because you're a woman as well.
That's right. I'm a woman, I am a head of an organization, and that was very threatening by itself.
Yeah.
Without even when I start talking and saying these things, we don't need to talk about that. It was very hard because the table is always half
filled with men. Yeah.
And I am sitting there as the only woman ahead of our organization. Last week I was in Qatar for a conference, and I met a lady in the airport. We're receiving our luggage, and she came to me. She said, I am such and such, I'm a lawyer. And I told her, and she said, I know who you are. And I said, okay. She said, and I said, well, that's, I hope good stuff. She said, I heard both.
Oh.
I said, why? She said, I know of your work and it's great. But, to be a woman in a men's field, mm-hmm. you're always, the black sheep. Because there are no women as head of Muslim organization. Mm-hmm. And this is not accepted. And that's why they say you are not competent or good enough to lead. And I said, well, in my work, I work on human rights, civil rights, religious minority rights, international religious freedom. And I don't preach religion. I'm not claiming that I'm an imam or I am this or I am teaching religion or Quran or Sunnah or all of that. I am just taking a proactive approach mm-hmm. to problems and things, and how could we solve it? How could we start our conversation with people of other faith? And I'm not monopolizing on, because I'm a Muslim and I've been targeted and I've been this and I've been that, so other people are bad, so I have to, and that's how I mobilize people around me. No, I don't do that. I work with people of all different faiths. And even within my organization, I have 104 employees, and I have 6 offices. And with these offices and these employees, they are from all different faith backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. And everyone said, oh, you're the director of the American Islamic Congress, so must be all of your employees are Muslims. No, actually we're minorities. I'm a minority in the office. And it's a wealth. When we sit sometimes, having dinner or lunch with my staff.
You're practicing what you preach.
That's right. And I felt, with all my staff that they come from different backgrounds and different mm-hmm. religion, and working for American Islamic Congress, exactly. Even though they are not Muslims, I feel this is wealth mm-hmm. that I'm bringing together. Mm-hmm. Information, teaching, and experience for my staff and myself, and for all of the people around us. Mm-hmm. So when they come to one of the staff, they said, well, your name is John, and you are working for the American Islamic Congress? This is confusing. It's good to confuse people.
Yeah.
It's nice, because they make them think. There are other ways. It's not only one way, and it's.
And is it also confusing to the Muslim community?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because every Muslim who applies for a job think that he's going to get the job in a Muslim organization because he is or she is a Muslim.
Yeah.
No, you have to be competent. You have to be good enough to get that job.
Mm-hmm.
And not because of your ethnic background or religious background you're going to get it. No. I don't discriminate. And I don't like to be discriminated against. So I have this policy in my office is that, you know, everyone is welcome. The doors are open. Since you can do your job and your work, whoever is better is going to get that position.
Have you been able to influence other organizations to be more proactive, to be less victim oriented?
Mindset, yeah.
Yeah.
Some are, but some aren't. The people who are not, they are living on the mentality of the victimhood. And mobilizing people around that.
But so, to go into that mindset, I can imagine, especially here in Holland. Let's talk. Let me associate with Holland. Okay. In the Netherlands, of course, here in the Netherlands we have us surely after 9/11, but also after many other incidents and very grave incidents that have played a part here in the Dutch. In 2004, the murder of Theo van Gogh, for example, of course. It was always said Muslims don't come forward as much as they should. They are not as clear as they should be on denouncing terrorism, denouncing violence, denouncing hatred. And I always assumed it was a responsibility for all Muslim individuals. But I can understand why people who were born here, why your son, who is 18, who was born in the US, who considers himself an American,
that's right.
Does he feel the responsibility to denounce Muslim violence constantly?
He thinks about it, but he thinks he's a part of the system. He's an American.
So he doesn't.
So when it comes to denouncing and condemning, he tells me, he follows the news and he's like, this is crazy, they shouldn't be doing that, I'm so angry, I am this, I am that. And he tells me about it, but he probably does not go in a school or and tell his friends about it.
Because
he feels when this attack is happened, its attack is against him too.
Exactly.
He is part of the system.
Exactly. And that's what many youngsters and also people of my generation feel. It's an attack on me as a moderate, liberal, feminist, pious Muslim who doesn't believe in violence as well.
That's
Why
right.
should I have the responsibility to start denouncing when Dutch males who are
different
white, who are 35 and love soccer, don't feel the necessity to denounce hooliganism? So, I mean, if you think about I can imagine, in a sense, you are. I understand your proposition and your proactive position, and it is necessary. But at the same time, I understand why there are also people, especially youngsters, growing up feeling totally part of a citizenry of a system of a nation, that they feel, why should I constantly stress my religious background when it's so self-evident that I don't believe in violence?
That's right. They don't believe in violence, but all of this violence is being conducted under the name of their religion.
Yeah. So even if you don't like it,
this kind of violence have not This kind of violence have not been executed by other people, people of other faith.
Yeah.
It's always the slogan is there.
Yeah.
So it's become our responsibility as a citizen to condemn it and denounce it.
Also, because if you don't,
then you will be
they
quiet,
will keep on hijacking your religion in a sense.
The silent Satan.
Yeah. The silent Satan.
The silent Satan that you don't denounce and you don't speak about and condemn the violent acts or the terrorist act that's been committed against your community, country.
Oh, that's a very very strong concept, the silent Satan. I'd hope it is a bit harsh, I have to say.
It is harsh.
It is harsh.
It is harsh, but we have it in our teaching and in our training. Shaitan al-Akhras.
Okay,
So
very interesting.
when you stop, when you see something wrong,
you should speak up.
you should be speaking up against it. Even if it's in your community, in your house. If your member of your family did something wrong, we're all gonna blame that person or condemn his act. And if a child fought with another child in school, we're gonna do the same. Whether we tell him go beat him just like he beated you, or we're gonna say no, I'm gonna talk to his parents and the school, and they're gonna do something about it. So we have choice, and if we choose, what's wrong is wrong, whether it's committed by whoever it is. We have a choice to talk, or we have a choice to turn our face and be quiet and silent and get all the blame. But I choose the harsh path, which is I need to talk.
Yeah. Looking back at your life, you described in an overview, of course, certain parts of your life, and I was interested, what was a pivotal or inspiring moment in your life that you always remember if you look at the person you have become?
There are many. The very tough moment that I had was after the uprising.
Against Saddam.
Against Saddam Hussein in 1991.
Where were you at that
I was
moment?
in Iraq.
In Baghdad?
No, I'm not from Baghdad. I'm from Basra, but I was in the city of Karbala. Because Basra was always attacked by bombs and the war. Basra was very close to Kuwait. And Basra is very close to Iran. So when the Iraq-Iran war, it's always the city being bombed. When the war in Kuwait, liberation of Kuwait started, also Basra is the first city to be. So we have another house in Karbala, city of Karbala. And I remember I've been injured and hiding, not with my family, alone, hiding with another family, outside the city. There is no water, no food. And I remember I was, bleeding because of the wound that I have, and my clothes has blood on them. I was wearing a dress, and on top of the dress, I had another piece of, clothing. So it was, in March, and I saw a cloud, so it's gonna rain. I took my dress off, and I said, I'm gonna put it outside. I want it to be washed by the rain. Started to rain, and the rain came black because Saddam burned the oil wells in Kuwait. So now my clothes has not only dirt and blood on them, but also oil. It was a very difficult moment. I come from, privileged family. Money was never an issue. I have whatever I want, but that moment I felt like, what is life worth? A moment that you are not even being able to put a clean cloth on yourself because you're hiding, you are suffering from a wound, and you are alone. And you don't know what time they're gonna come, the police or the intelligence forces, to come and arrest you because of your participation in the uprising. That moment made me think not only about myself, but about the world around me, and how many people in a worse situation than me, and what I could do. So I decided the next day I'm gonna leave that city and I'm gonna go to my original city of Basra. No one knows there what I have done and the participating in the uprising. and probably the story will get lost. I took, and then there are checkpoints in every 10 minutes or every 3 to 5 kilometers. So I took the idea of one of our maids that worked for us in the house, and I put a clause showing that I am from that status, and I traveled from that city to my original city of Basra for 6 hours. And in every checkpoint, you can imagine that I said, this is the end. They're going to discover who I am, and they're going to kill me. I made it. And I made it back to our house. And at that moment, I felt that's the end, and I have to leave. When I decided to leave Iraq, I had the same thing at the border. And they have my names. And I've seen the cards that they put the names of people on it. And they say, well, they are wanted, kill them at the spot. And I was leaving. And between I'm going to make it and I'm not going to make it alive, not only I'm going to make it or not. My grandmother said, Zainab, if you get killed or they kill you, it's better for me to hear and observe and be sad than they rape you and they torture you. These words I will never forget. And I moved on, I decided to leave, and I left. And I reached the border, and the officer, the immigration officer, is going through the cards, and he stopped. So when he stopped, I thought, that's it. This is the end. I had $100, and I gave it to him under the table. He kept flipping the cards and stamped my passport. I left and I didn't want to look back. So if I went through this moment in my life at an age of 19, 20 years old, the situation, you start seeing life in different perspective when at the age of 40. And this moment I will never forget in my life. And this is what keeps me going to make the world better for other people. That's where it comes from.
Thank you. Yeah, shukran. If you look at what your work in a core entails, the interfaith dialogue.
Yeah.
As you said yourself, I am also many times I have been irritated by interfaith or interracial or whatever interdialogue there seems to be with couscous and mint tea, and having two monologues separate, directed at an audience, and never the twain shall meet, in a sense. Right. What do you do in your work to really create a meeting, to create that tangible result, as you said yourself?
We do campaigns.
What kind of campaigns?
I'll tell you. Religious freedom in workplace. We get Muslims, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist. All of us need our religious freedom in our workplace. The Christians cannot work on Sunday. They need day off. But you have a shift, you have to come. I'm supporting them, to get that day off. The Muslims need 5 minutes to pray during the work. They need that breaks. The Christian and the Jewish are supporting me. The Jews, they need Shabbat. So they need time off, or they need to wear kippah. And the boss in that place does not work. So I support them. We go to Congress, all of us together, tell them we have a case. We need to be solved and give us that right. That's a joint effort. That's a campaign that we need to work on.
So it's, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Exactly. And
religious
that's what opened our conversation together.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of only conversation. No, I need to work. It's our society. It means a lot to all of us.
Yeah, but looking
this
at
is
that
one program.
viewpoint, if you have the Christian, if you're talking about the Christian community in America, the moral majority,
That's right.
the evangelical right,
That's
etc.,
right.
etc., very powerful. You have AIPAC, the Jewish
lobby.
community and the Jewish lobby, very powerful. And then you have the Muslims.
That's right.
How do you really?
It's not
stretch
only
each
that.
other's
In
backs?
America, you have thousands
And so
of
many
faiths
more, of
and
course.
so many.
So
The
many
Hindu,
more.
the
But
Buddhist.
I'm just saying, is it possible to really be able to work together if you have such a different influence and power position?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can. You can. And we need each other. We need each other badly, actually. Created another college program in about 70 different colleges.
College program in what sense?
College campus in different 70 different universities to encourage young students to dialogue. Not only dialogue, no, because dialogue by itself will die, but to work together on issues, on campaigns, on civil rights, on human rights issues. So if one student gets bullied or attacked or deprived from his or her right in a college, all of these students come together, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslims.
And is there also space for people of no denomination or religion?
The atheists or non-believers, yes, they do. They are human beings, so they are welcome.
No, I'm just. Is it easier to do this kind of interfaith dialogue and work in a religious society such as the United States compared to, for example, the Netherlands or Germany, which has a much more secular view and approach?
Well, in the secularism in the United States is separating church and state. Secularism in Europe is different. Take a different approach.
Especially
but
in
you
France,
have exactly. But you have also religion and state being combined in the case of UK.
Yeah, and here in Holland, of course,
and Holland.
Political parties,
exactly,
Christian denomination.
And so it varies between. But that does not make it impossible. In fact, that makes it easier because the combination is there between religion and state, and you can go so deeply into political issues and so deeply in a religion issues, and you can discuss all of that together. But you have to work together. Here you are a member of
I was a member of Parliament.
But or your party.
Yeah.
And that's an example. And I think you broke a stereotype that was there. Like it's impossible for you, or you didn't. But you did it. And you did it successfully. So that's another example. We have to look at these examples and how it did apply in our community and in our countries. It's not impossible. No, I don't believe in that. I believe it is possible. Yes, there are challenges. There are people who are going to stop in your face and tell you no. And why you are doing this? Are you crazy? But you can do it.
And how do you create, and then I will come to you, how do you create to really have dialogue, I believe, is, as you said yourself with your Jewish study friend, for example, you need to create empathy. You need to inspire empathy. You need to be able to identify yourself with the other, to see the other as yourself.
That's right.
How do you create that on such a... I mean, it is possible if you are working together as students.
Yes.
But how do you create that on a much more, a much bigger level, on a mass level?
That's when I told you about the, religious freedom and this is a huge thing. And they need people of different faith and multiple faith to present it. Yeah. Not the only Christian going there and saying, well, we cannot work on Sunday, so please. Or Jewish going and say, well, we cannot wear our kippah and we want Shabbat off, and they allow them. Or I go and I say, well, I'm wearing a headscarf and they don't allow me to work in that place, and could you do that? And they're looking at me, you're one individual, or you're representing a group of people. But you are now, when you come with that, you create a platform, and you are mass, and people from different voices, your diverse group.
Is it easier to have interfaith dialogue with these different religions, then within your own religion, is it easier
Sometimes
to
it's much
have
easier.
a discussion with a Christian or Jewish person
and
than
with your Muslim
exactly brothers and sisters?
Yeah, it is easy,
Yeah.
actually. For me, it's much easier than discussing intra-religion, but
there's much more to lose, in a sense.
Because they always feel that you're competing and who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, whose truth
It's
is
not
the
a matter
most
of
true.
who's right or wrong. It's a matter of, I have my own belief, you have your own, I respect yours. I don't want to impose mine on you, and you don't want to do the same. I just matter of, I understand you. Understand your point of view. And that's where things fall apart, when people do not follow that model. Whether I'm right or you're wrong, and we have to be one of us is right. Don't go with this idea to a conversation. You cannot even start a conversation or create it.
It's finished actually before it starts.
Before it starts, it's dead.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And you need to have that open-minded that you are going to be able to create that thing and change it. And I have my children being involved in that.
Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, please stand up. Just gonna count.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
All the goods I got.
My name is Sasai. I'm a medical student, and thank you very much for your wonderful and inspiring speech.
Thank you.
I had a comment and a question. First of all, I would like to say that you just mentioned a very peaceful approach of Islam to the community, and I personally very much believe in this approach. I think Islam is always about the peace, living in peace with other people. I would like to say that this peaceful approach would not only be beneficial for a country like the Netherlands, but also for an Islamic country like my own country, like Afghanistan, where we have a lot of ethnical issues between all the Muslims. We can just kill each other because he's from the north and we are from the south. So I really believe in that, and I really hope that we can get towards this approach. My question was, I see that there is lack of knowledge about the Islam, even in a Muslim community. I would like to speak for myself. Because we are grown up like Muslims, we are Muslims, but we know when it's Ramadan, we know where it's celebrating days, but we know not much about the core principles of Islam. And I would like to ask you, what's your suggestion, especially for the parents, for the youngsters, and for the community, for young people like us, to contribute on getting that knowledge and spread that out to the community? And my second question would be, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My second question would be about what is the role of how are the women's rights represented in Islam? Because I really believe that there are very strong rights for women in Islam, but nowadays we often hear that Islam is opposing actually the women's rights. So I'd like.
Sure. Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Very
Now we'll
very
have a
useful
lecture
question.
of.
Can you get one more question so I can answer all of them?
Any other questions? Here?
Hi, my name is Thijs. I'm a teacher. I teach Dutch to foreigners. So in my work, I have a lot of Muslims, and I have a lot of contact with them. And we talk about religion sometimes during the breaks or during my classes. So I have this on a daily basis. Now I have a short story about one of my students, which covers the need to do stuff together instead of just having dialogue.
That's right.
And also, it is for me a reason to ask you a question. It's about a student. He's a Muslim from Serbia, and I asked him the question: what do you believe? Do you believe that, for example, only Muslims go to paradise? We were talking about that. Then we were having a discussion. The discussion asked him that, and I also said that I know a lot of Christians. I have a Christian background, who believe that only Christians can go to heaven when they announce Jesus Christ as their Savior, etc., etc. So I wanted to know his opinion on that. So he said, well, I made my own choice in that, and actually we agreed very much about this. He said, I was working with this Christian guy. It was the first time I was working with a Christian guy, and we were doing good work for poor people. This Christian guy was like in his 60s, and he gave almost all his money away for good purposes, etc., etc. So they worked together. So this Muslim student of mine started to think then, well, about heaven and stuff. Like, even if he has another religion than I have, and even if he doesn't announce Allah or Prophet Muhammad as being, I don't know exactly how to word it, as being very important in his life, I could never want to believe that this guy doesn't go to heaven. And so that's I thought it was a beautiful story because they worked together and they became very close, and you know what I mean. So
that's when you connect with the people on a human level.
Exactly.
And you start believing.
And especially in doing the good stuff for other people and doing that together is a rewarding job, an important job with two different beliefs. That's great, I think.
Sure.
So I just want to say that I agree very much with you on doing stuff together, in being closer, becoming closer than just having dialogue. I also witnessed a lot of dialogue in my life into religious meetings, and I think doing things is more important. But then, what is difficult, I think, sometimes for many religious people, and I want to ask you something about that, you have your personal beliefs. You have also love in your heart for God, for the Prophet, maybe, and Christians for Jesus and for God. And so, in respecting the other, this is great, but this is still quite distant. You know, I respect you, you have your beliefs, I have my beliefs. But my question is, what do you... Okay, it's difficult actually, but...
just say it.
No, yeah, but I try to find the words, you know. Well, how do you think that we can really have each other in our hearts, you know, people from other beliefs, if you have your personal, very important truths about different things? That's what I want to ask.
Do you want? Could you
one
take
more?
one more?
Yeah,
question?
one more.
Okay, very good.
My name is Carla Brunot. I'm coming from Amsterdam, and I'm working 2 days a week in a refugee house for women and their children. I apologize for my English, it is not very good, but
it's great. I can understand it. I wish I can speak Dutch like that.
I have two questions for you.
Sure.
I was grown up as a Catholic girl, but now, today, I don't believe no more in Catholicism, not even in God. I am a secular woman. On the other hand, I try to respect people who have their religion. How do you think about secularism? And for example, in the Middle East, is it not forbidden now, secularism? That is one question, and the other question is, could you tell something about the position of women now in Egypt? They took part of they participated in the revolution, but now I have the impression that they have gone. They are.
You should have attended the previous session.
But we can go into that.
Yes. Well, that is the second question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so many questions. More questions?
I know, yes. We're popular, I guess.
First one was
The first one was
About knowledge of Islam.
a knowledge of Islam and what should parents do. It is a very important question.
Especially with all these immigrants living in such
Yeah.
different societies.
I think it's an important question. I think the Western society,
But also in Afghanistan, also
everywhere,
in Morocco.
everywhere,
I mean,
you know, the religion itself, the knowledge of a religion, the basic things of how to be good to others and how to pray and how to worship God, and it does exist in every religion. Most of religions, whether Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, share similar values. The knowledge about the historical facts of Islam and the Sunnah or the teaching of the Prophet and what's in the Quran is being, addressed there in the task. How do you deliver it, especially for the children who are living in the Western world or living even sometimes in the Muslim world, but they don't know about it much. In the Muslim world, they take it as, cultural Islam, where by culture, Muslims. But are we deeply involved in teaching our children all the essence and teaching of Islam or not? Most of the cases, no. Unless you want to change and send your children to a school that they learn Arabic, they learn how to read the Quran. Most of the children know how to read the Quran, but they don't know the meaning. Even the people who are native Arabic speakers need to be explained and interpret to them to be able to reach that level. And that put us in front of several choices. Whether we take the responsibility of teaching what we have inherited and what we have taught from our parents to our kids, and that special education can be conducted at home, or create a school or a Sunday class for our children to manifest that. Or sometimes there are schools that does exist, but they teach things that I don't believe in to my children, and these things are extreme, and I don't want my kids to go there. So I think it should be, dealt with as a personal choice, in my opinion. I want to teach what my kids, I want them to learn about my religion. And because every family, they have different belief. They have some families, they do not care. They know, their children born Muslim, they know that they are Muslim, they know who God is, the Prophet, and they know the Quran. But they don't know much more than that.
but
Okay, sorry. So it become dealt with as an individual basis. But there is a better solution for the community that, if you have maybe 10, 20 families that they have all children together, that they can create the space for their children to teach them about the essence, to teach them about how to pray, how to do this, how to do that, but also how to coexist and live with others and understand people of other faith, which is very important.
So it's our own responsibility.
Definitely. Each one of us.
And
I don't want to just send my kids to a school and I don't know what they are teaching them, and they come and I'll be happy about myself. Oh, my kids know about Islam. What do they know about Islam?
But I have
what
to say,
kind of messages that's
whether it is in the Middle East or in the Netherlands and in the West, I rarely see. What I see is
whether
the
they
traditional
teaching.
patriarchal systems of the Quranic teachers teaching from the mosque, and they are just villages. I mean, sometimes they're just villages who have learned the Quran by heart. Sometimes they know more, but if they know more, they might be even more. They might be more extremist because they might be.
Not only that, there are a lot from the culture being embedded with that. You cannot say, this is Islam, this is the true Islam and the only Islam, and that's it. No, because when you practice Islam in Bosnia, it's different than you practice Islam in the Horn of Africa. Or you practice Islam in Indonesia. There are a lot from the culturism embedded. Sometimes, I see Muslims from other parts of the world And I said, well, wow, how do they just, yeah, this is a
totally
tradition,
different.
this is an Islamic tradition. I'm like, I'm a Muslim, but never practiced that.
Exactly. Never seen it.
So you see these kind of things, a lot of things comes from within the culture, not the religion itself, been added to it.
But do you think that moderate
Muslims
who are in the Middle East themselves, but also in the West, have maybe ignored their own responsibility and left the whole exegesis and study of Islam as a barren field for extremists and more
to
conservative
play with it?
people?
And some, to a certain extent, probably, yes, I agree with you. But I always have trouble with the word moderate Muslims.
Yeah.
Everyone consider themselves moderate, even the most extremist. And I would say reform
Humanist
Muslims.
Humanist Muslims, maybe.
Yeah. The teaching of Islam is not that hard. You can get it from different sources. The teaching of the ibadat, or the way how to conduct prayer and fasting,
That's also
and
easy.
that's easy because it's been
What is
spilled out there
difficult
how
is
many times you should pray and when you
teaching
fast. And
thinking within Islam.
critical thinking and human reasoning. That's what's really difficult.
Yeah.
You have to implement. We have to implement in our children is that think for yourself. Yes, the religion teach you, where to pray, what time. You be good. You be good to others. You help other people. And don't cross these lines, don't eat this or don't drink that. But if I am bad and I want to be bad and I want to be influenced by, I can go and my children could be affected. But we have to think about critical thinking. Should my religion said X, Y, Z. And sometimes, you started your comment by saying, Islam is always peace. Islam has been mentioned as peace, but there are actions being committed by Islam that's so violent, really, really violent and terrible. And it's all under the name of a religion. And I'm sure within a Christianity, within other faith, also is being committed with that.
Jewish,
Yeah,
Buddhist.
all the faiths that they have, religion need to be spread. So war need to be conducted. And there are more people in the world that are being killed in the name of religion, in the name of God, than any other causes. But take us back to the responsibility of us and how we should conduct these teaching to our children and teach them about critical thinking, not to accept Islam from an imam that's been taught in an extreme religious school and conducting these things and giving that message to my children. I will not allow it. I will not accept it. So it's my responsibility, your parents' responsibility, your responsibility later on to deliver that message and to create a system for your own community. You could create system.
You can do your own.
You can do your own curriculum to teach that based on the knowledge that you have, and always say on the best knowledge that we have, even the biggest scholar or the biggest turban that he has on his head. He said, well, I tried my best. So when we are looking at that, he tried his best. His best is better than mine? No, I don't think so. I can do that at the same time. To go to your next question, the role model or women and the oppression of women. We had a whole session this afternoon about women. And societies, whether the religion oppress women or not, there are some oppression of women's right in there. And it depends on the interpretation, which school of thought you follow. And it seems to me that most of these school of thoughts only oppress women. Men have no problem. And we want to control the society, and this control does not come only with women. If you apply the rules for all of you, men and women, I accept it. But if it's been applied only to me because I am a woman, physically I'm different than a man, that's not allowed.
And what she said this afternoon is actually, you have to fight. this.
for your rights. It doesn't matter where you are or where you are from.
But in context with the religion, because it's often said that the religion.
Often it's been delivered to you that way.
Yeah.
Often it's been delivered to you that way, that you are, everything you do is haram, is not allowed.
It's
But if
easier.
a man did the same thing that you have done, it's okay for him, but you cannot do it. And often it's been delivered that way. It's a way of control.
It's
you
an
know,
instrument. in a
God
sense.
said, even within the book, the Quran, you're equal. God created you equal. Why do you settle for less than that? I don't want to settle for less. If I am created a free soul, equal, the verse is said in the Quran, خَلَقَكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى. Both men and women, so are equal. And I will not settle for less. I will not accept it. And the fight should continue till I reach my rights. The fight is not only in the Muslim tradition, but in all other traditions as well. All of them. So you have the green card from me. If that weighs too much. Going to this third question.
Oh yeah, the question about whether you can really whether you can bridge the gap that different religions or different truths within your heart, whether you can really take somebody into your heart if you have different views of what is
Of
true
religion.
and right.
Yes, you can. I don't think, for me personally, maybe I have a very rosy picture, but reality on the ground is different. People, if you are a true believer and you believe in God and God created us all as a human being, if you are truly believe in that, then your heart is open for others, whether they are believing in the same thing you believe in or don't. Many people do not. They said, we are the only right. Well, the only truth is with us, and you are wrong, so you don't have to exist. You've seen this. I had friends of my children telling my children, we feel pity for you because you are Muslims.
Terrible. And they were still friends?
They're still friends. I have no problem with them, but they told my kids that once. And because you're not going to go to heaven. And I'm like, you know what? The key is not with me nor with you. It's somewhere there. Let's all work for our good future and our good life. And, when that day comes in, I'm not responsible, nor you are. So it's up there. I don't have to worry about that. And so you hear these things. And I'm sure these other kids hear it from people of other faith. I mean, it's normal. I hear it also when I go to Iraq and other places. People who are not believing in the same things that we believe in, they're going to go to hell.
And even within your own religion.
Yeah.
I mean, people would consider me not a Muslim because I don't adhere to their views. And
That's right.
That's for you.
So that's the same thing. We all subject to it. God's going to put you in hell. I'm like, all right, what did I do? Oh, you don't worship God in the same way we do. You are from this sect of Islam, you're not from that sect of Islam. So we feel it even within rather than from without. From people of totally different other religion. But within Islam itself, you hear that also.
Within Christianity.
Within
of course,
Christianity,
yeah.
if you're, this or that, or
And
you're Christian.
Jewish now in Tel Aviv and
exactly.
Jerusalem. Such, yeah.
So you hear these things a lot. It's a matter of us. And I'm like, if you're a true believer in God, or probably you don't even believe in God, you have your heart open. You're a human being before the beliefs. The beliefs come into your brain later on in life. But when God created you, you're a human being.
You aren't born Muslim, you are born a baby.
That's right, you were born a baby.
Yeah.
And that baby has nothing in there, was empty RAM, just like a new computer. And then you start feeding information in there. And when you start feeding information, you can reformat it, right? And you can accept all the information, and you can accept so many pictures and people and music and everything. And so we have to look at ourselves as a human being before the labels that been, we all cry for same reasons. We all get pain when we get sick or when we get injured in the same way. We always get, troubled when people label us, and we get painful. We all cry the same way. We all laugh at the same way, eat and sleep and do all of these other activities. So if it's my brain gonna be the source of my headache, and I'm not gonna be accepting a person because he is different than me, why should I bring this even? I worth much more than that.
Is it possible to be secular in the Middle East?
Yeah, there are a lot of seculars in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Many seculars in the Middle East. Not only in the Middle East, all around the world. You mean atheist? The word secularism is different than atheism.
Can you be
yes.
open
secular?
Open and proud atheist?
In many cases, yeah, you could. In many cases,
Yeah.
there are. Yeah, it depends on the country you are in.
Yeah, that's right. Saudi.
So you cannot be that in Saudi Arabia, not even talk about it. Even in the Gulf states, if you are open secular, they will be prisoned. In other countries, no, it's tolerated. It's not preferred, but it's tolerated.
And it is difficult.
It is not easy.
No.
You can, but it's not easy. You have to fight. And I guess it's everywhere. It's not only in
Morocco, there was
countries.
this small, in a sense, small revolution of atheist youngsters who went, for example, who fought for the right to eat during Ramadan, which is, of course, frowned upon. And they organized via Facebook and internet having the possibility to have a picnic in the park during Ramadan. That was something that was heftig, that was fiercely debated and also frowned upon, but even more, I believe that the police was set upon them. So it is difficult, and it depends. It's like I have to say, you can be atheist if you don't wear it on your sleeve. And you can be whatever you want in your own house.
That's right.
In many countries, as long as you don't write about it in a paper or scream about it in the streets, then it becomes more difficult.
That's right. Okay.
And then there was one more question I saw in the back with the woman with white scarf. Could you read?
My name is Anna Schumacher, and I'm and I was wondering about the question Thijs was asking to you about you saying if you are a true believer, your heart is open to others, but there is also something of your own in what you think it's important, the drive of living, your religion, your belief. Doesn't that conflict sometimes with, because I'm searching if you are, I'm how do I say, my English is not so good.
Zeg het maar in Nederlands?
Nou, ik kom uit een vrij streng christelijke hoek. I'm from strong Christian, where I'm a preacher since 4 months from a part of the church where there are no women allowed to become preacher. And I'm raised with a whole truth. Believe God, the hell, everything. And now I'm searching, and I'm my way through life and to the church. And but I find it difficult to combine the things, because I'm trying to be open, but I know I have my own truth, which is very important to me. And sometimes it's just compare to each other. And also there are some things that I don't want to lose. And that I think it's difficult when you different.
Why do you lose? What is the sense of losing here?
Yeah.
What is it? What is the sense of
no
loose?
loose in
Loose.
I don't want to throw away
Oh.
things.
I understand.
Okay.
Dus
But his question was, in a sense, more: can you love somebody else? Maybe. Yeah? Can I?
Can you accept
Can
that
you
person
accept and
as
love
he
someone?
is?
Yeah, but it was a little bit in the same
Category?
category because of the inner conflict that you can have with these things. So, you know, with your strong beliefs and your love for God and your own faith.
Yeah, but by a strong belief, why should I impose it?
No, but I'm not talking about imposing, but I'm talking about, let's say, if you believe, if you have a Christian who believes that you can only go to heaven through God, and he loves his neighbor who's a Muslim, then you have a conflict already inside of you. Because you love your neighbor, but if you are brought up in that way that you believe that you can only go to heaven with this, and you want your neighbor to go to heaven as well, that's the
I see. So it's a matter of caring and
He
loving.
has to convert.
yes.
Yeah.
What the friends of your son said.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
You're, sorry,
understand.
you're Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. I heard it also a lot in the Muslim world when they say he is so good, but unfortunately he's Christian. I heard it. Have you realized that comes out of love and care for that person? You know, because this person is so good to you that you want him to be similar as you, but no one knows where the truth is. You know? And this is the thing, you know, God gave you certain teaching, certain, religious understanding. And because you love that person just so much, you know, comes out of love. So what comes out of love? That I am going to be accepting that person and pray for that person in my own belief and my own language that, you know, my God will allow him or her to be there.
Yeah, or there might be a corridor between the two heavens.
That's right. Maybe it will be, you know, it will be a gray area that we're all going to be there having fun. And, you know, it seems to me that we are sometimes prisoners of our own thoughts. And we have the love, we have the care for the other person, that we want him to be with us. But that other person has his own mindset also. He might think, you know, I want you to be with me too. But how about we coexist and both be happy and pray for each other in our own way, and we can live.
And why would you worry about the hereafter? Why not just enjoy the now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really asking you the question. Why would you not just enjoy your life now instead of worrying about the hereafter?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, but that's I've been raised so much more about the way the life after this
That's
life.
right. That's right.
That's
It's more important than this
all
life.
of us.
So
We all have that. We all have that in us. It's like
Yeah,
the day
that's right.
after,
For me as
you
well.
know,
Yeah.
the day of judgment,
Inshallah.
or the day when we are,
But
you know,
I'm-
in front of God and what we are gonna say and what we are. If you do good things, if you lie, you're gonna go to hell. If you do this, you're gonna go to. You know, we all have these things. We all grow up with it, but also we grow up with mercy and compassion and praying for others in our own way. We have that in our tradition. Is pray for people in your own, you know, in your own voice, since they have not been committed a sin under you. So you're pure, you know, your prayer for them is pure. And since you are caring that much and you're loving the other people and you want them to be with you, so pray to God that they're going to be with you, whether they are believing in the same thing you're believing in or they don't. And that's a challenge that we have to take up on ourselves. Acceptance.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say, it's a beautiful closing statement and a beautiful closing question.
Question.
It is 9:45. I can look at the organization and with a piercing eye whether we have 5 more minutes or not. Or are we going to... Yes?
Be kicked out.
Okay. There's no more room or time for questions, alas. I think it was a beautiful evening. I would like to conclude that there are so many more questions to be asked and so many more answers to be had and heard from Zeynep El-Soueij. But being grateful for this evening in the sense of and in the spirit of this evening of the interfaith dialogue, I will say I am grateful, and I hope you as the audience as well, for what has been exchanged amongst you and Zeynep especially, of course.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you for a very warm applause for our honorable guest, Zeynep El-Soueij.
Thank you. And thank you to you, and we have to applaud her as well for the wonderful job that she has done.
I would like to conclude the evening with 3 points of homework for ourselves. It's you, the audience, myself, and maybe even Zeynep, even though she might have done her homework already. The first thing would be I presume that all of you are interested in the concept of interfaith dialogue and that you are here because of that. So it is good and important to think more about how to create that point of empathy, to create that real dialogue instead of 2 monologues next to each other. And I think that Zeynep has pointed towards some very interesting thoughts. Working together is more important than talking to each other. Maybe we do have to create more projects geared towards youngsters, towards students, working together, getting to know each other, and having more interaction in that sense. The second would be that there is an obligation amongst all different backgrounds to have more information and knowledge about your own religion, but especially as to the Muslims, it is important to have your own Quranic lessons, to have your own knowledge, to be able to inspire others and to inform others. So I see this young girl sitting in the front. Inshallah, you never know, but maybe you will have children once. It is your duty as a mother then and as a parent to create that for your children, as it is for me and as it is for anybody here in the audience, if they want to, of course. It's not an obligation, but if you want your children to know more about Islam, why do you have to depend on the odd or the one living in the mosque next to you? You can create your own Quranic lessons. And I think the third lesson would be to change your life if you want to, in the sense that don't try to always, as you said yourself, we cannot choose where we come from, we cannot choose our ethnic background, we cannot choose our religious upbringing, but we can choose what we believe in, we can choose how to open our hearts, and we can choose to have that interaction with others, to have an open heart, and to change our lives if we want to. So, it seems like I'm preaching, but I'm from GroenLinks, so please permit me to be a preacher. It is I have a genetic viability to preach, so I would say have a very nice evening, sleep well, and please have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.